but you know when there are goons on the streets who want to pickpocket you or something, I'll say it in Kiswahili, watakwambia mwizi akiwa amekuiba atakwambia angalia ule mwizi ule na yeye ndio mwizi. So I'm not putting it to you that you are anything like that, but you know, you have just talked about cartels. You were standing outside Afia House and said, the cartels are here, and you did nothing about them because you left that and the cartels are still there. Now I'm putting it to you. While you were the Minister for Health, there was a vaccine which was approved, Sputnik. And at that time, there were no vaccines in the country. People were dying, and it was a private firm which was approved by the Medical Association to import the Sputnik vaccine. But your ministry went ahead, while they had already administered those vaccines, some of it, and you canceled the vaccine should not be administered without thinking the investment which was put in by the investor who brought that, and it was a private investment. So how are we sure that once you go to the Ministry of Agriculture, you will not stop any new investor the way you did while you were at the Health Ministry? Secondly, when you're talking about cartels, I'm just talking about cartels for you, Kagwe. The Mira, His Excellency the President, when campaigning in the Kenya Kwanza, he promised the whole of Meru, Embu, and the Mount Kenya East that this government would take care of the Mira farmer and the markets and all that. Unfortunately, we have not gone too far. But are you aware that the Mira farmers who are going to the airport have to pay a levy, which is levied, which there is no receipt for it, there is no nothing, but they have to pay millions of shillings a day. Not one or two, many millions of levy, which even your AFA, which is under the Ministry of Agriculture, says they are aware about it, but they can do nothing about it. So there is a cartel there as well. I'm giving you the facts. Lastly, you have said about the fake fertilizer. The former Minister for Agriculture, Honorable Mitigation, he comes from my county, not from my constituency. He said there was no fake fertilizer. He is on record saying there was no fake fertilizer. If there was fake fertilizer, as you have alluded to, and no people have been taken to court for that fake fertilizer, and nobody has been compensated for that fake fertilizer, is it true there was fake fertilizer or there was no fake fertilizer? And the fertilizer was being distributed by National Cereals and Produce Board, a government agency, not private shops. So what are you going to do about it? Thank you.
Master.
Thank you, Chairman. Nominee, you've spoken to the aspect of how to make agriculture more profitable and how to make it more attractive, and they need to incorporate technology and information and all that. But a number of studies have also indicated that many farmers do not comply to safety practices. Reasons being, there is lack of extension officers, there's lack of awareness to existing food safety requirements, and there is also poor enforcement of regulations. So I'm wondering, my question is, how are you going to promote food safety? And we are also aware that Fenton spoke about the extension officers. There are no extension officers. I put it to you from the ground, there are no extension officers. Yet we have so many graduates, agricultural graduates, from the TVET, from universities. So how, if you were nominated, your nomination successful, how are you going to create opportunities to absorb more of these agricultural officers? Because there's nobody to train. I presume you have to onboard them, then train. And then now tell us how you're going to promote safety. Secondly, we've spoken about fertilizer. My question is very straight, and I want to give an example of Busia County. Fertilizer depot is in Malaba town. How does this farmer from Busia town or from Budalangi travel to Malaba to collect fertilizer? What are you going to do to make sure that we take it to the closest administrative unit, probably at constituency level, so that the farmer from Butula gets it from there and it's same to all the others? My last one is on sugarcane. I come from a sugarcane growing area. And I'm aware recently that you are aware that the National Assembly did pass the sugar bill. How, according to you, is it going to be a game changer in the sugar subsector? There are still issues around zoning, issues around pricing. There's a farmer who has just texted me that the price per ton has gone down from 5,500 to 4,200. So what are you going to do to improve the price of cane so that our farmers can benefit? Thank you.
Sharia.
Thank you, Chairman. Mheshimiwa, there's a growing interest in public-private partnerships. How do you plan to foster PPPs in the agriculture and livestock sector? Thank you.
Mishi.
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Chairman. Honorable Chairman, in our country, we have been facing two scenarios. One is recurrent droughts, and second is recurrent flooding. And I'm just asking the nominee, what mitigation measures are you going to put in place to ensure that you intervene on these two scenarios? Because I'm just looking like an area in the coastal region, an area like Tana River, which experience erratic rainfall, prolonged dry spells, and intense flooding. And this scenario, both, they affect crop and livestock sector. So how are you going to mitigate this? Because I'm thinking that during flooding, maybe we can do some measures to ensure that maybe we harvest that water which is caused by the flooding, so that it can be used during the drought. But most of the ministers who have come, they've been talking a lot on how they're going to mitigate on this issue, and yet they have done nothing so far. My second question is just to emphasize on what the Kenya Kwanza government has been talking about in terms of creating employment opportunities. One of the area is in agriculture, and I'm just thinking, I'm looking at how the ministers have been doing a lot in terms of coffee, tea, and even sugar sector, whereby they've put a lot of initiative to ensure that they create some jobs and also they boost the economy. What are you going to do in terms of coconut, cashew nut, and also Bixa, in terms of having some local industry in the coast region so that we can have some employment opportunities for the youth? And also, again, on the same breath, and this is my last question, it is the challenges which the farmers on coconut and cashew nut are facing in coast region, especially on pest, disease management, and also planting materials. What are your measures which are going to put in place so that we ensure even coconut, cashew nut, and Bixa can thrive in the coastal region, to ensure that our economy is being boosted and even we have job creation for the youth? Thank you, Honorable Chairman.
Thank you, nominee. Can you answer those four?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Let me start with the issue of fertilizer. First of all, I want to say that, let me start with Mr. Dawood's question on the issue of the Sputnik. I remember distinctly the issue of Sputnik vaccine that came from Russia. And I can tell you, Honorable Member, through the chair, that there was not a single vaccine that we allowed into Kenya that was not approved, and there was not a single vaccine that we refused to take that was approved. Now, the issue here is who approves it. And our rule within the National Emergency Response Committee on coronavirus, and following the advice that we also got, is that we did not use any vaccines that were not WHO, World Health Organization approved. And I'm aware that at the time that we had stored with Sputnik, the condition that we give Sputnik is, and the Russian people even came to see us, not even the business people, is to say, please deal with the World Health Organization approval. And as soon as you have got those approvals, we have no problem using the vaccine. Because you can imagine how many, what we'd have to deal with vaccines coming from very many different parts of the world. The only thing that we could do and guarantee the safety of our people was to use the World Health Organization as a major approval organization for us. And at that time,
Point of order, Chair. Yes. Chairman, sorry. The minister, the former Minister of Health is not telling us the truth. There is no way the vaccine could have come to Kenya if it was not approved. That is the first thing. They had an approval from the Kenya Medical Practitioners Board, and it was even administered. 230,000 doses were administered. But it was politics which made it to go out. It was a private venture. Yes, they had everything, but the minister is not telling us, the former minister is not telling us the truth.
Are you not telling us the truth? Yes,
Mr. Chairman.
Hold there. Yes, Junet.
Chairman, I agree with the Honorable Dawood. The vaccine arrived in Kenya with the approval of the government, and it was administered to many people, including the current president. And what happened when the current president, who was the deputy president, took it, is when that regime stopped it. Let us be honest to each other. Yeah, let's be honest.
Mr. Chairman.
Did you play politics with the health of Kenyans?
Mr. Chairman, I want to repeat that the only approvals that we recognize as the National Executive Committee on Coronavirus was approvals that came from the World Health Organization.
If that was the case, just hold there. How did the vaccine get into Kenya and have it administered on Kenyans before you chased it away? Yes, including our then deputy president getting a jab of that vaccine.
Mr. Chairman, all I can say is that whether a vaccine has arrived in the country or not, no matter how it has arrived in the country or not, if it has not been approved by the World Health Organization, we cannot use it, and we did not use it. I think I rest my case.
So are you telling us that it had, by the time it arrived and it was administered to 230,000 people, it had not yet received approval from World Health Organization?
Absolutely not. And I think, Mr. Speaker, I do not recall the actual figures that it had been administered to. I cannot remember now what figure, but I don't think it was anywhere near, the kind of figure that you had said. Suffice it to say, Mr. Chairman, that the decision that was made at the time by the National Emergency Response Committee and the Ministry of Health was that we will not, and we would not in the future, use any vaccine that had not been internationally approved by the World Health Organization.
And you are the chairman of that committee?
And I was the chairman.
Yes.
And I take responsibility. And we agreed, Mr. Chairman, we agreed, even at that point, as I remember, we agreed that if the vaccine could get World Health Organization approval, we would use it.
What Dawood has put to you is that you made an irrational decision based on political consideration.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to ask him what Honorable Junet has said. The Deputy President at that time and the President right now, who has nominated you today, is the one who took that jab, is when you stopped the Sputnik. Is that true or not true?
Absolutely not true.
Point of order, Chair. Chair, when that, when we were, Chairman, when we were taking the vaccines,
Yes.
there were many vaccines. There was AstraZeneca, there was this one and others.
Pfizer,
Johnson & Johnson. Chairman, we were in the country here. At that time, you know, people were really looking for vaccines to use.
Desperately.
The day the current president, who was then the deputy president, got a jab in the afternoon, in the evening, a press statement came out saying that thing is banned in our country. That's the truth of the matter. That's the truth of the matter.
Mr. Chairman, I cannot recall the events as they followed, if indeed that is the way they followed. But I repeat my position. We could only use a vaccine approved by the World Health Organization.
Go on with the others. I'm sure you know.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, the issue of mitigating circumstances, I think that were raised